morning everyone, Carol here from Oak House Journals. Thanks so much for joining me today. I just wanted to share with you a friendship journal that I've been making for the last 3 days actually, and I'm quite pleased how she turned out, so I just thought I would do a quick share with you. She is a little bit chunky. I kind of envisage this not going into a journal as an insert. I imagine her going into a friendship journal, and most of those I'm finding when I'm watching your videos on how they're bound, most of them I'm finding are being bound in Midori style with elastic through the centre of whatever your spread is, and certainly that's how I intend to bind my journal when it's finished later on this year. But anyway, it can be a standalone, as you know, or they can be bound in that fashion. But this is one that I'm sending out to a very lovely lady that I know in Australia, and I just wanted to do a quick show and tell before I pop her in the post this morning. So just a quick run through. The papers that I've used are these gorgeous antique papery papers, and they're called Victorian Romance. Now I'm so sorry, I went online immediately before the video to see if Antique Papery still sell this paper, so that I could put the link down below in the description box for you, and she doesn't appear to do it anymore, so I'm so sorry. I know how frustrating that is for those of you that want to do a copy of this, but there's nothing I can do. I bought this kit from Antique Papery a while ago, and obviously I have it in my stash and can use it, so I'm sorry about that, but again, there's nothing I can do. Throughout the journal I've used odd bits. I've used Amity Bloom's envelope journal ephemera kit, also her envelope journal vintage letter, and the Botanical French Herbal cards, and you'll see as I go through where I've used those. And I've also used a little bit from Nick the Booksmith's Prairie kit, which I absolutely love. So anyway, let's get on with it. It's a standard size. It's an A4 sheet of paper, very, very lightly tea stained, that I've folded in half and then I've layered on top. I've used seam binding, as you can see, for my closure. I've chosen green because the lady that's receiving this I know loves green, and for my closure I've done a single eyelet in the back there. Now obviously if this is going into a journal and not as a standalone, that wouldn't work because obviously the binding will be down here, but it will stay shut without that. But for the purposes of sending this in the post today, I wanted a closure on it. So this front pocket here is just some repurposed packaging from Tesco's. I saw it, it was a little wallet with I think a free sample in it, and I absolutely loved it, basically for the shape at the top here. Now I know we can replicate that shape, but I just loved it, and I thought, oh, I can use that in true Angela Kerr recycling style. I thought, right, I can use that, and so I've covered it in the paper and stitched round it. I put there wasn't acetate in the window, so I've put a piece of acetate in there, and then I've just collaged at the bottom. And this writing here, or it's rather a signature, is from the Amity Bloom vintage letter. I've just tore a piece off. Okay, in this corner here I've just laid up some tulle, a little bit of I try to keep it very, very light, so everything in here is white when it comes to the lace. Nothing is tea stained, so there's a little bit of leaf trim there, which was part of some lace I was gifted, and then some dangles here, and a couple of those little chiffon fabric roses with half seed pearls in there. So going into the pocket, this is a double layered tag. Again, both of these are from the envelope journal ephemera kit. I've backed this one with the same image, put a bit of lace across it and stitched round, and then I created or reinforced the tag from the kit and backed it with some of the Antique Papery Victorian Romance. Everything is stitched round. Now, because I don't have one of those big bites, only a crocodile, to get my eyelet here, I had to create this tag first, and then layer it on top of this one, threading my ribbon through the eyelet hole first. And then what I did was, when I placed the ribbon on top here, I put a dab of glue across the top there, and then stitched it on my sewing machine, and then tied the bow, and that way I've got my ribbon there. If I'd had a big bite, I would have gone all the way through with my eyelet, but as it is, I think this gives a neater finish. So you've got a line of stitching in the back there, but because I've used thread that is very subtly cream, it picks up it works well with the card and isn't intrusive. So that's my tag that goes in my front pocket. Oh, this again, sorry, I can't help with this. Maybe you can help me. In amongst my DigiKits, I came across this lone sheet of, it's obviously a backing paper, and it's obviously from a DigiKit that I've bought. And even though I don't have many, I spent must have been about an hour and a half going through every single page of my DigiKits, trying to find this page. I had one A4 sheet of it printed out, and obviously I wanted more, but I couldn't find it. So if anybody recognises that, please give me a shout, because I cannot for the life of me find out where that is from. It's a very, very pale blue with well, maybe a tiny little speckle of green, and then this flourish in the corner. So if anybody knows that, oh, please tell me, put me out my misery. So anyway, so that goes in on the first page in that pocket. Now this opens up. It's an envelope, as you can see. There is a pocket at the side here. Now there's nothing in this because I want to put in a note to the lady that this is going to, and that will go in that pocket. So that was already done, and with it being personal, I couldn't really show it on screen. So this is my first page. I've got a corner tuck pocket here, and I've made a big tag and married up the piece of torn paper with the paper behind it, as you can see. This is an image from one of my Janet Marsh books. Lace and seam binding, just knotted through very simply through an eyelet at the top, stitched all round. A sticker. This label is from the envelope journal ephemera kit that I referred to, and then this piece of vellum behind is a piece of Nick the Booksmith's Prairie DigiKit, and it was from a bit of vellum that I'd printed up and had left over as a scrap in my scrap pile. And you'll see I've used that in a couple of places throughout. And then on the back, excuse me one moment, sorry, my throat's getting dry through nattering away here. This is a piece of packaging, similar to the type that I used in the previous video where I made the Friendship Journal pages with those gorgeous, gorgeous Chapter 1 Wildflower DigiKits. This is a piece of packaging from some paper that I bought, which was 49 and Market, and I love the packaging so much that I've put it to one side and I've been happily using it. It does have a slight sheen to it, which normally would put me off, but it's not a heavy sheen. You're probably picking up a little bit from the light. It's quite a dull day here in the UK today because it's drizzle again. But going back to this, it's not a high sheen. If it was a high sheen, then I would have coated it with some transparent gesso or some Ranger Matte Medium to dull down that sheen, but I don't mind it too much. And again, some just simple layering on the back. So I've just stitched all the way around my page here. I did put an eyelet in the corner here, and I was going to hang a little tag and some more of this green seam binding. I decided the seam binding was a bit too much, again, to have it in that location and down at the bottom here. And it was all getting to look a bit busy, so I'm going to tie a little tag on that. I'm just kind of pondering a bit, but I think I will. I'll tie just a little mini dangly tag to hang down from that. This is a side tuck pocket that I've just put an edge of lace on just to soften this edge here. So my lace, as you can see, is scalloped on both sides. And I've just shifted it over slightly so that it just softens this edge. Down at the bottom here is just some little daisy trim, more of the green sari silk, and this text here on this blue scrap of paper is from the Amity Bloom Envelope Journal Vintage Letter. I've just used the vintage letter and just ripped a snippet off it. This is some gorgeous, gorgeous wallpaper, and this is what inspired the whole journal actually. I had a sample of this wallpaper. I haven't got a clue where it came from, but I'm desperate for more of this in my stash, and I've never really worked with wallpaper. I know many of you might have, but I haven't. So this is what inspired it. I was sorting my craft room out the other day, came across this and was thinking, oh, that's gorgeous, I love it, and decided, yeah, I was going to use it. And it worked beautifully with the colours of the Amity Bloom kit and also this antique papery kit. So, you know, job done. I mean, they do the work for you, don't they, really? This is a big journaling card, more of that vintage letter, and I've just done a simple collaging stitched around the edge, as you can see. This is packaging again, and on the back, more of that wallpaper. I've made a simple little vellum covered pocket here, put a trim of lace along the bottom. This is a vellum image, and then these are the Amity Bloom Botanical French Herbal cards, and I've just cut them out, stitched round them, really simple and easy. I've backed them with some tea stained paper and just done some collaging on the back with various papers that I've referred to and I've been using. So they just go in that little pocket just for a point of interest, like so. And then that tucks in that pocket. Okay. Second page, I've done a big pocket at the bottom and trimmed it with lace and more collaging. And there's stickers and twill, never say that word, various bits of lace trims, a bit of a bus ticket there just under my thumb. And then in the pocket I've used the French, the vintage French letter to create this pocket. And again, this was, the front was packaging, it was an Easter egg packaging, so this oval was already cut, but you could still cut it with a die cut if you wanted to on your die cutting machine. I got so carried away making this and trying to match up the card inside with the outside of the card, with the outside of the cover, that I forgot to back it with acetate before I stitched the back onto it. But it works just as well. So I've done a little bit of lace trim on the side there on the cover, and then when you pull the journaling card out, just some trims of lace on the side there, and it's backed with the antique papery papers, and that just slides in there like so, and it all matches up. And you'd think that would take me ages to do, but actually it didn't. It's really easy. In this back pocket also is this image of the British countryside and two little characters in this corner. Can you see? They're so sweet. Janet Marsh does just amazing images, doesn't she? I love this image. It reminds me of Marlow Meadow down south at Henley, I think it is, or sorry, near Marlow, obviously, but it's part of the Thames, and there's a verse on it by William Shakespeare called Spring and Winter, and I know the lady in Australia likes our British countryside and how green it is, so I thought that would be a nice touch to include that in, and obviously the colour themes went well. And then again, just simple collaging on the back. So that sits in the pocket like so. here I've created a vellum pocket. Let me get into a vellum page. And this is Nick the Booksmith's Prairie Kit, and I printed it on vellum and then backed it on top of the Victorian Romance papers and created a pocket like so. And then in the pocket is a big journaling card. If I flip that over for you, then this is the area to write on. A little bit of lace trim down the side, collaging here. And then I put a tab with a little tassel that I made, tiny tassel, and a couple of beads. So that goes in this pocket here. And then it flips open. This area I've just left open and clear. I mean, I could have maybe put a piece of tea stain paper on that for a journaling spot, but this paper is just so lovely. I didn't want to cover it up. This is the other half of this piece of paper here, or this piece of vellum here, and I've just taken it through, and this is the other side of this page, and I've created a vellum pocket. Excuse me one second. Sorry, I've got dry throat today. Just had to have a quick sip of coffee. So I've created an envelope here, a stitched in envelope. I've just put a piece of lace trim down the side, and this is one of those Girl on the Ridge. She calls them rustic tabs, but actually I think they're far from rustic. I think they're absolutely lovely. So this is just trimmed with some lace and a little rose, a little piece of paper, number paper tucked behind. If I come up a little bit closer, and then I've just put a little bead dangle there on the safety pin. So when you open it up like so, I've made a giant specimen tag, and it is giant. I did want to put in a particular flower for this lady that I know she's keen on, but I couldn't get it to press. I don't press my ferns between book pages. I actually iron them, and it works amazingly well. But when I tried it using a flower from my garden, that didn't work. And I had several attempts at doing that. It's probably why these things took me 3 days, or this thing took me 3 days to make, because I wasted half a day looking for my digi kit. I wasted half a day trying to press the flower to go in here. So I resorted to plan B, and plan B was the fern. So I've put some remnant rubs, and it's just trapped between some acetate, as you can see, and then I've created a couple little tags at the top and tied them with some matching twine. So that goes in that pocket like so, and that closes. And then on the reverse, I have just created a tag, and I've just clipped it on with a paper clip. And then it's just some collage papers, again from those collections that I've referred to, on some recycled packaging, and then that's no more collaging on the back. That's just some of the papers. Now, I was thinking that I would put a lace snippet hanging down here, but she was, as I say, getting a little bit chunky. So, and this card was looking a bit lost in that back pocket there. So I've just thought it would be nice to pop it up the top here, and a bit like you would with a journal, and include her in that way. And then the bottom here is another pocket like the front page, where I've mimicked the items of lace that I've used and the papers I've used to create this collage, and the front one, because when you look at them together, I'm not sure if I can get that in shot, you can see the two. So I just thought it would be nice that they worked well together. I've made a long tag for this pocket. lace at the top, a little dangle there, some more of that daisy trim, and then this is stitched vellum, and then this again is from Nick's Prairie kit. So I just made a vellum tag and stitched it, and then backed it onto more of that lovely 49 and market packaging, and then I've done a wee collage down here. I think these are Amity blooms, and I think they're called her stamps. Sorry, I haven't got the name, but I'll try and remember to put the link down below. But they're really useful. I love using those, especially as you can alter the size. If you print 2 or 3 to a page, you can get them really, really tiny, or you can have them at their original size, which is quite handy. And then just the wallpaper on the back and a simple eyelet at the top, so that goes in that pocket there. And then just going over to the back, if I get the seam binding out of the way, this is just a side tuck which I've made from the flap of the envelope on the front page. All of these layers are stitched in down the centre, and then this is glued on the top, and I've done it before. It works really well if you stitch everything else together, but this last envelope, just glue it slightly down, well, glue it down the spine and slightly inside of the spine and on the back of the spine there, and then at each end, and it makes a perfect tuck spot, and it's quite rigid. So in this back tuck I've made a book page envelope, and this is magnetized like so, and all I did with my book pages, the book pages came out of just what's it called, British Flora and Fauna Encyclopedia. So I used 2 of those pages, and I effectively glued them together so that this would be nice and sturdy. And then I started collaging over the top. I created a wee flap up here, and there's one inside as well which hides my magnets, and then trimmed it with some lace across the top, and on the back various images, there's some vellum there. This is another one of those Amity Bloom stamps, and then this is an image from the Janet Marsh book, and then the rest are all the Amity Bloom Ephemera kit, Vintage Letter and Victorian Romance. And then inside I have just put a few little bits and bobs for the lady that this journal is going to. So there we have it. I hope you liked it. I certainly enjoyed making it. I loved working with these colours. They really were fun to do, and trimming it with lace and making it very pretty and feminine, which is what I was trying to achieve with this one. So as always, everybody, thank you for your lovely comments that you've left me previously. If you'd like to leave me a comment on this one, oh fantastic, I love to hear from you. And thank you as always for indulging me and allowing me to show something that I've made. And I hope you all are having fun, enjoying your weekend, and will have plenty of time to do a little bit of crafting yourselves. So take care, everybody. Thank you so much. Bye for now.